This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections.
Welcome to Race in Action Today. We're here to bring you the action from the Klingberg Family Centers here in New Britain, Connecticut. In the event, the Klingberg Concours d'Elegance. And boy, I'll tell you, this show has just got it all. Classic cars, antiques, motorcycles, you name it. I think it's time you sat back and relax. We're about to see what the Klingberg show is all about and the people who make it happen. Yes, we have Mark Johnson with us with the Klingberg Family Centers, and I'll tell you, Mark, you picked another beautiful day, and this event is really something special.
Yeah, we're really happy that the storms have cleared and we were able to have the show. We put so much work into it, and lots of people are counting on it, spectators, cars, and when the weather clears, we're really happy.
Now, this is the second year of the concours, right?
It is, and we're really pleased with the cars that are here. One of the things that we were able to do this year was tap into the Horseless Carriage Club of America is doing their gas and brass tour in Massachusetts tomorrow. So we were able to tap into people who are coming across the country, bringing their cars, and ask them to come a day early and come here. So we have cars that are from a couple from California. We have one from Wyoming. We've got cars from New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And it's nice to add those to the cars from this area.
Yeah, I noticed. I saw a couple of cars from a long way away, and a locomobile, too. Of course, that's a Connecticut car, you know.
But it's from California, so
yeah, I know.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, this event is really getting to be really special. We're so thankful you hold it, and we're just having a great time here. I'm just like a kid in a candy store. I just don't know what to look at next.
Yeah, people are pretty excited about what they see here. But I'll tell you that one of the greatest things about this show is that we've moved it to Father's Day weekend. This is the second year, and it is so important that we look at fathers and see their important role in families and with their children. And so we want to celebrate that. So that's why we asked Wayne Carini from Chasing Classic Cars if he and his dad, Bob Carini, would come and be grand marshals together and to show a good father and son relationship and to encourage fathers everywhere.
Absolutely. We're with you 100%. And, you know, we interviewed a couple of people and the kids, too, at the same time. And it is special. And I really didn't know the significance why you held this show this weekend. But now I could see that's really a worthwhile venture.
Yes, and that's why we were really praying that the weather would clear and we'd be able to have it this weekend. So we're very blessed.
Well, we want to personally thank you. This is just always an outstanding event, and we're looking forward to coming back here next year and years to come because, believe me, you do an excellent job.
Great. Thanks very much, and enjoy the show today.
Thank you.
Okay.
You were great.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks.
Tonight's show will be our third and final show of the Klingberg Concours d'Elegance. And boy, I'll tell you, it's been one great show. And here's an absolutely beautiful 1904 Oldsmobile. We didn't get a chance to talk to its owner, but I'll tell you, we didn't waste any time getting an up-close look at this car. It was just outstanding. And these brass era cars are becoming a very big deal with me. Enjoy the show.
Yes, we have John Parker with us with this absolutely gorgeous 1921 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. And I'm going to tell you, this car is something special. And I bet you know a little about this car.
Well, I sort of grew up with it in a way. I've had it for 40 years. I bought it as a broken-down chassis. It was relegated to the status of a parts car. And I disagreed with the owner and said, no, there's no Silver Ghost that's a parts car. So through many convolutions of negotiations, I acquired the chassis and restored the chassis back to its running which hadn't run since 1929. Then we finished the chassis, then we constructed a body in 1980, which would look like a body that would have been made for a car like this in 1921 by some young swain that had lots of money and a very sporting air about him, and dashing about the English countryside with a nice sporting touring car, which is very narrow if you look at it closely. It's referred to in Britain as a skiff as opposed to a touring car. And
Really? Why is that?
it's just because of narrow proportions of the car, a relation like a rowing boat and a canoe. One's a boat and one isn't.
No, it's like a dual cowl too, right?
Well, it has a small cowl around the back, but most dual cowl automobiles of this vintage would have a larger cowl that will fold up with a windshield that folds down that sits upon it. This does not have that feature.
Now, tell me, how long did it take you to do this?
Well, we started the restoration in 1974. We finished the chassis in 1978 and finished the body and finished the whole car in 1980.
Wow. So this was, this had to be a tremendous undertaking.
Yes, it was. However, the result was worth all the effort, and the car runs perfectly. I've driven it 134,000 miles.
No kidding.
It's a very reliable car. It's probably one of the few cars of this vintage that's such long-legged as this one.
I understand you like driving this car.
I drive it anywhere I can, and my wife loves to go shopping in it if it's a good day.
Well, I'll tell you, I could see your attraction to this car. It is gorgeous, and I know you're going to do well here today, but I think you're going to have more fun.
I think I'll have more fun. It's not a competing car, but it does get its share of trophies just out of sheer exuberance, I guess.
Well, I won't.
Certainly not the quality of the car restoration as it stands now.
Well, I mean, you use the car like a regular car, and that's what it's all about, you know. But I have to commend you. The car's gorgeous, and I want to thank you for your interview, and I'm sure we're going to see you down the road.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming by.
Thanks a lot, John. You were excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, we have Richard Cutler with us, who owns this gorgeous Model T 1914. And I got a feeling you know a bit about this car.
Just a little, yes. I've been driving for 12 years now.
Now, did you restore it yourself?
Pretty much. Usually the issue with these things is you buy them and then you're constantly restoring them, so especially if you're going to drive them, which we do.
It's a work in progress.
Always, always.
I see you got the hill here for the test, right?
Yeah, hills are a lot of fun. Yeah, they weren't designed for hills, and if the hills are really steep, you got to back up, so I didn't have to do that today.
So I understand you're involved in this horseless carriage club.
Yeah, I happen to be a national president of Horseless Carriage Club of America. We have 4,200 members, and we have a flock of people out here from California for a week-long tour up in Massachusetts next week.
Wow, wow. Now, are they specifically for Model Ts?
No, the Horseless Carriage Club has to have the cars older than 1916. So this is actually one of the new cars in the club.
Wow. And they come from all over the country?
All over, actually all over the world, New Zealand and Europe.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the collector car world, to say it's alive and well is an understatement.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
Now, you're up in Massachusetts?
Yep, Massachusetts, Rochester.
Did you drive this car here?
Well, we drove 20 miles this morning, but no, we didn't drive it from Massachusetts this morning. We would have had to left probably yesterday sometime.
Well, I'll tell you, the car is absolutely gorgeous. I got to commend you how you keep it, and I'm sure you're going to have some fun here today.
Yep, and I'm glad we have the background noise.
Don't worry. This just picks up us talk. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, it's great to be here.
The ambiance.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot. Take care. You're excellent.
Well, I'll tell you, you just don't know what you're going to see next here. And that little miniature Bugatti, driven by a youngster there, really looks like he's right in the scheme of things.
Yes, we have Morris Salami with this gorgeous Mercedes and his grandson Brian here. And I'll tell you, this car is absolutely stunning. Well, and I bet you know a little bit about this car.
Yes, I do. These cars were made from 1953 to 1964. They came out just after the very famous 300, which was a gull wing, and people couldn't afford that car at the time. So Mercedes came out with this, which is called the Baby 300. It's a little smaller engine, and it was more affordable at the time, so they made a few more of these. I bought this car from the original owner in Vernon, Connecticut, and it's actually a 58, but the dealer here in Connecticut couldn't sell it in 58, so he sold it in 1959 as a 59, but they're identical cars.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you could do that, I mean, even though it was built in 58. I've had a lot of fun with it with my grandson. In fact, he and I bought it together when we went to see it from a small ad in the Current. And I was shocked when I saw it. I didn't think I'd ever find one here locally. I had been all over looking for one.
They're hard to find.
They are hard to find. They didn't make that many, and most of them were kept in Europe. I think only 10,000 out of the 25,000 that were made came to the USA. And but gradually they're getting more and more popular as people begin to restore them. And this car was painted by Wayne Carini of F40 Motors. Yeah, and that's all that's been done to it is a new paint job. The original paint was lacquer and it was all cracked. So he repainted it about 10 years ago. And it's kept up very nicely.
Now tell me, Brian, how you like driving this car? Do you drive this car?
It's a lot of fun.
That's where all the fun is.
Absolutely.
Do you have to polish it too, or what?
Yep, all the time.
Yeah, this car is really, it caught my eye because you don't see them that often, I'll tell you.
He's the only one allowed to drive it besides me.
Uh-oh. You're going to get the woman mad now.
Exactly.
Well, we want to thank you, Morris and Brian. You've been excellent, and, I'm sure you're going to do well here today, but I think you're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, we always have fun with this car. We love it. Thank you.
Maris and Brian.
Great to meet you.
Morris. I keep calling you Maris. And Don Carlson with this absolutely gorgeous 1934 Brewster. And I'll tell you, when I was growing up as a kid, Don, this was one of my favorite cars.
You saw it around Berlin, right? You saw it.
Absolutely.
It belonged to a gentleman by the name of Wolcott Brown, and he lived up the street from you. He lived on where the cannon was.
I think it was Wildham Lane.
Yeah.
Wildham Lane.
Wildham Lane, that's where he lived. He's long gone now, but great guy.
I want to know one thing. I want to know how Butch got this car from you.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. It was tough, but I loved Butch, and I knew what he'd do with it. And he's the only guy that should ever have this car.
Well, I'll tell you, Butch, this car I've known for a lot of years, and it looks better than I've ever seen it.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I've known it for a long time, and I've known Don since I've been 12 years old, and his nephew, and I have been buddies since first grade, and so that's what happens when things go nicely. I'm loving the car, and it's almost like Don still owns it because I'm around him all the time.
When I see this car, I think of Don automatically.
Yep, everybody does.
You know?
I know a lot of people said they just say, they tell him, did you get this from Don? Yeah. That was it.
Now tell me, did they make many of these cars?
According to what Don has told me and what I've read, in 34, 35, and 36, when they started making these at the Springfield Rolls-Royce factory, Ford sold them 300 chassis with the Ford flathead V8, and everything else is done by the Brewster Coach Company. And
they made convertibles, a few convertible sedans. They made a couple of convertible coupes, and the rest were town cars. Like
now the roof comes off the front of this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it open for the driver?
Yep.
They always also made one that was higher for people that wanted a higher one for the cab. It doesn't look as nice as this because this is just a low style, but they have a higher one for people that had the top hats on and all that stuff years ago, you know.
I'll tell you, they were always pretty cars, and like I said, the minute I look at this car, Don, I just think of you. I swear to God, it's just like going back in time.
They call it the heart-shaped Ford.
Yeah, with the grill, you know. And Bush, did you always want this kind of a car?
By knowing Donnie since I've been 12 years old, I bought this car in 1999. It took me 5 years to convince him to sell it to me, and I'm just loving it. I just fell in love with the car, and I'm so appreciative that Don did sell it to me, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I'll have to commend you. The car looks great, and being, with the Ford running gear and everything, it's kind of easier to take advantage of. I mean, it's easier to fix.
Correct, because I
could find parts.
I had a 41 Ford Coupe before this. I had to sell it to get the Brewster, and so I knew the engine. And my buddy Donnie here taught me a lot about antique cars.
Well, maybe if I get lucky enough, I could buy this car from you someday.
It's possible.
Well, we want to thank...
It's up to you now. It's up to you now. I have no control.
I want to thank you, Butch and Don. It's always a pleasure to see you, and I'm sure you're going to have some fun here today.
Yeah, this is our greatest outing is at Klingberg.
Thank you, Don.
Always, always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay, buddy.
Yes, we have Mike DeAngelis with us, who owns this absolutely gorgeous 1911 Packard. And I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of Packards in my day, but I've never seen one like this. And I bet you know a little bit about this car.
A little bit, Larry. 1911 Packard. It was a barn find in actually New Year's Day, 2007 in Greenwich, Connecticut. It took about a month of haggling before we bought it. It basically was in excellent condition. But I wanted a restored car, so I sent it out to Robinson Restorations in Schwenksville, Pennsylvania. Of the 12 known 1911 Packards, Model 30s, he's restored 4 of them. So he's the one that knew the car well, and as you could see, he did a fabulous job.
Now, was this the original color scheme?
Yes. Yes, this is Packard blue with the black fenders.
I'll tell you, this car is absolutely stunning. I have never seen one. Now, what kind of motor is in this car?
Well, it's a 4-cylinder. They call it a Model 30, but realistically, they say it's anywhere between 60 and 70 horsepower, which made it very popular in those days. This particular car was bought new by Colonel Rupert, who owned Rupert Brewery at the time, and then a few years later, he bought the New York Yankees.
Wow. What did a car like this cost?
New, this was probably around $47.50.
Wow, that was a lot of money back then.
1911, yes, a lot of money in 1911.
Well, I'll tell you, you need to be commended, Mike. This car is gorgeous. I have never seen one like it, and I got a feeling you're going to do very well here today, but I think you're going to have more fun doing it.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
You were excellent.
All right, thanks, Larry.
Yes, we come across a familiar face. George Dragon here with his gorgeous 1907 Fiat. This car is just gorgeous. How did you ever find this car?
Well, actually, we didn't find it. A friend of ours found it about 35 years ago. It was in a barn in South America, of all places. And it took him about 25 years to acquire it. And after he died in 1991, I bought it.
And you restored it eventually over time?
Yes, we did about 10 years of research. You know, in order to do a correct restoration, the research has to be done. And we wanted to make sure that this was an actual Targa Florio racer. So we had a friend of ours that was the head of the Italian car club in Italy go to the Fiat archives and have these large books with every car that was ever built or ever raced. And he went line by line and found all the information about this car. And it took him quite some time to do it. But we did 10 years of research before we even turned the screw on it.
I mean, how many of these exist?
Well, there were 5 originally built, and as far as we know, this is the only one of this model that still exists.
Wow, I'll tell you. The car is just stunning. I saw you drive in with it, and I couldn't believe. I mean, this car, the color and everything is just beautiful. And every time I see you, you got a different car. How many cars you got?
Well, we have quite a few, but we try to bring different cars to each show, and this one just happens to be because they feature brassier cars here at the Klingberg show. I wanted to bring something early and something that they've never seen before.
Yeah, this show seems to bring out the really different cars, you know, and the Connecticut cars are always special, too.
Right. There's collectors that only come to this show. This is the only show that they bring their early cars to.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what's great about it. We have been coming here for the last 12, 14 years.
Well, George, I have to commend you. This car is something special. I know you're going to do good with this car, but I got a feeling you're going to have more fun.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun to drive.
Okay, thanks to you. You were excellent. Thanks a lot, George. You're always great.
Look at the engine in George's car. I mean, look at that detail. This car is just something really special, and I'll tell you, it is just gorgeous. Every part of this car is really just beautiful. And look at that chain drive. Isn't that something?
Yes, we have John Linderman with us, who owns this absolutely gorgeous Stanley Steamer. And I'll tell you, this car is something special, and I gotta believe you know a little bit about this car.
Stanley Steamer is a car that you've got to understand pretty thoroughly to drive it. I don't know how they ever sold these to the average person, but I have an engineering background, and that's almost essential, I think, to drive these things.
They were ahead of their time. You know, no gas problem then, huh?
Well, I still need to have some kind of fuel to turn the water into steam to drive the engine. So people ask me if I have wood or a coal, and no, the answer is I use gasoline to fuel this car. Some fellas use kerosene or diesel fuel, but we still need some kind of fuel to turn the water into steam.
So it's got like a burner.
Got the burner. The burner is actually from here down, and the boiler is from here up. If I open this up, it's not too pretty, but that's the way it works. And then the engine is in the back of the car.
Now, tell me, did they sell many of these cars?
They sold about 10,600 over a period from 1898 up to about 1924. That's about the last of the Stanleys.
Well, I'll tell you, this car is really gorgeous. Did you restore it?
Mechanically, I haven't done a lot. I bought it to drive it, and so I try to keep it looking pretty, but I haven't done a whole lot to the body other than all the mechanical stuff. It is a fairly heavy-duty maintenance car. We say it has a 5-to-1 ratio, 5 in the garage and 1 on the road.
Well, I'll tell you though, you know, in events like this, it's really good to see this car, and I know you're going to have some fun here today.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy it very much.
Have you come to this event before?
I've been here a number of times before, yes, I have.
Now, is this the only antique car you have?
No, actually, my wife has a Nash Metropolitan, a 1957 Nash Metropolitan. But those are the only 2 really old cars that we have in the family.
Well, I'll tell you, you need to be proud of this one. This car is gorgeous. I want to thank you for your interview, and I'm sure you're going to do well here today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, John.
Yes.
You were excellent.
Good.
As we near the end of our show, we wouldn't be right without showing the girls doing the jitterbug. And believe me, we had a lot of fun at this event here at the Klingberg Family Center. It was just one outstanding day. And I hope everybody has enjoyed the show as much as we have producing it. It has just been some kind of a day. And the motorcycles were well represented. If I have any regrets about the event, it was that I did not have the time to interview the people that own these motorcycles, because they were just absolutely gorgeous, and they dated back all the way into the 1800s. I mean, it just never ceases to amaze me what you see at one of these Klingberg events. And it's becoming just an outstanding event for these types of cars and motorcycles. And you really need to mark the calendar. It's Father's Day weekend. And next year, I hope to spend more time with the other vehicles beside the cars, because there's just so much to see here. And we really gotta take our hats off to Mark Johnson for the great work he does, and all his volunteers here at the Klingberg Family Centers. They're just outstanding people. And also, I want to thank our crew, Bill Majak, Dwayne Cody. We also want to thank our new intern, Daniel Kahn. He's doing an outstanding job, and they just always do things the right way. Tune in next week. Racing Action Today. This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Thanks to the Racing Action Today crew, Dwayne Cody, Bill Majak, David Seidlinger, and Lisa Backus. And also we want to thank our home station, Nutmeg TV, for all their support and all the great things they do. We want to thank Just Results Weight Loss Center in Bristol, Connecticut for all their support. And also we want to thank Pryor Brothers Fabricating in Berlin, Connecticut, and also Big Apple Pizza in Florida's Gold Coast.